You are now listening to the Motown Sports Talk podcast. Here's your hosts, Jordan and Dalton.
All right. Hello, everyone. Welcome back. Today is Monday, December 21st, 2020. Yeah, the Lions lost to the Titans yesterday, 46-25. It was very sad. But there was a team that got their very first win of the season yesterday, the New York Jets. So let's give a round of applause to the New York Jets. Not going being like the Lions and the Browns of old, going 0-16.
But as of them winning, they also lost because now they are tied with the Jacksonville Jaguars for the worst record. And according to CBS announcers during the Chiefs-Saints game yesterday, they said that Jacksonville would, if they both lost out, Jacksonville would get the first overall pick because they have an easier schedule.
Yeah, which is weird. I thought it would go off a conference record because they're both in the AFC, and the Jaguars' one win was against the conference opponent, whereas the Jets was obviously against the Rams, which is an NFC. So I thought that's how tiebreakers go for playoffs, so it'd go the same for the draft, but I guess so. Anyway, so congratulations to the Jets, or unfortunate for the Jets, whichever way you're looking at it. I mean, the Jaguars can still win another game. Kind of comparable to when the Colts almost lost the Andrew Luck pick back in 2012. When they went, I think, 2-14, and they almost went. They didn't win a single game, and then Dan Orlovsky came in at the end of the season and won them the last two games, and they almost lost the first overall pick, but they still got it, and they still ended up with Andrew Luck overall, which we all know how that turned out in the long run. But again, it's a totally different story. Back to the Lions. Like I said, they did lose 46-25 to the Titans. It was in Tennessee. I don't really think anyone was surprised. Honestly, I'm surprised the Lions kept it as close as they did. We kind of kept it a game until towards the end when they just started running away with it. But Stafford did start the game. He obviously was questionable all week due to his rib injury, and nobody thought that he would play. I honestly did not think he should play either way because I knew exactly what would happen. One sack, and he was going to be out. And that's exactly what happened. I mean, he was late in the game, and we were pretty much getting blown out at that point anyways. But either way, I think that it was just, we shouldn't have just started Stafford. The game was pointless. We weren't going to make the playoffs. We still have them, then the Bucks, and then the Vikings again to end the season. So it was stupid to bring out Stafford. Chase Daniel obviously finished the game. He went 5 of 6, and his one incompletion was an interception. Unfortunately, he looked okay with his first couple throws, but then the interception just kind of messed everything up.
He was getting sacked though too, wasn't he, or getting hit on
Yeah,
that throw?
he was under pressure, I think, and it was
yeah.
So
it was kind of like I gotta hurry up. I think it was like on third down, or I know we were running fast paced because it was within the 2-minute warning and everything. So kind of trying to hurry up and everything.
Yeah, so we honestly have to look at the reality of the possibility of Chase Daniels finishing the season or even being here next year, because as me and Dalton were just talking about off air, we're not even sure how much longer Stafford will be in Detroit, what the future is with Stafford. Obviously, there's a lot of people that want to move on. There's still a $24 million dead cap if we do trade him. That is a lot of money when we're already I think we're either right in the middle of the pack in the cap space. We're not really high, but we're not really low. Plus, the cap space is supposedly going to be lowered next year. So again, I don't know if you want to tie all that in. This is all going to be up for the next general manager.
I'm just saying, if Stafford's going to keep playing the way he's playing with a rib injury and a torn ligament in his thumb and going out there and putting up that kind of numbers, and you guys want to get rid of him for Chase Daniels, or if we get lucky and get one of these good college quarterbacks, I don't.
Yeah, it's going to be interesting to see what happens. I don't know. I mean, my feelings are I would think that we should just keep Stafford for one more year and not lose that cap space, because any general manager would love to have Stafford as their quarterback. A couple positives from the game. DeAndre Swift did look really good. He only had, I think, 67 yards, but he did average 4.5 yards per carry, and he had 2 touchdowns as well. And he does look back to his old self with that elusiveness and everything else. So. And another high point of the game was that Romeo Okwara has hit his career high in sack numbers at 8. And this is also a big thing because earlier in the season, we thought Okwara was doing good because he had Trey Flowers and like Danny Shelton and some other good players along the line. But now he doesn't have Deshaun Hand or Trey Flowers or any of those guys. So the fact that he's still doing and putting up these numbers is amazing.
He's putting up these numbers with him being the number one guy and everyone trying to stop him, knowing he's the only one.
He's being double teamed almost every play. So Romeo Okwara and DeAndre Swift are pretty much, I mean, TJ Hawkinson overall in the season has been a bright spot for the team, but yesterday he just looked terrible. He only had 2 catches and then he had a fumble as well. So for fantasy owners, it was not a very good game either, especially in the playoffs. I know another good sign from the Lions is Austin Bryant is starting to improve. He's getting a little bit more playing time as he's healthy as of right now. Obviously, he needs to stay healthy, but I think with the more playing time, you can tell that he's starting to get a little bit of better penetration on that line. He just seems to be a lot more disruptive overall.
There was a big play in the game where he just got right off the line and just stopped Derrick Henry for like a 2-yard loss.
Yeah, Derrick Henry is a big guy to take down. He is not easy. So again,
Austin Bryant's gonna be hopefully a good pass rusher. And like me and Jordan were also discussing off air, is if we can re-sign Romeo Okwara in the offseason, and if we decide to re-sign Everson Griffin, think of that at least the ends of being able to rotate in Romeo Okwara, Trey Flowers, Austin Bryant, and Everson Griffin.
And we still have Julian Okwara, who could be coming back next year, hopefully healthy. Yeah, so we're still not sure what's going on with Julian Okwara. We know it's a leg injury. Hopefully he can come back next year. Obviously, he's been placed on IR and hasn't returned at all, so it must be pretty serious to be out all season long. And we still, again, we haven't gotten, as far as I know, we haven't gotten any update on it. So hopefully
we haven't got any update on Trey Flowers either, really.
Yeah, exactly. They said that he was hopeful to be coming back soon before the season ended, but that's all.
I was gonna say, and at this point, I'd just shut him down for the rest of the season, just like Galladay. I'd shut them both down for the rest of the season.
Exactly. Yeah, might as well just keep our players healthy and look for this next year and try to keep them good, either trade assets for this GM or just new building blocks for the GM, whichever way he wants to look at it. Once Julian Okwara comes back healthy, Trey Flowers comes back healthy, Romeo Okwara is still playing the way that he is. Again, that defensive line might actually be one of our highlights next year as opposed to being the downfall of our team the last few years.
I was going to say, in the draft and free agency, I'd love to see our new GM go after DBs and safeties and linebackers. Linebackers 100% for sure, but then also some safety.
Yeah, it's quite possible. I don't know the stats on this, but it's very quite possible the Lions have one of the worst linebacker cores in the entire league. Because again, like aside from Jamie Collins, I don't think any of our linebackers could start on any other NFL defense at all.
And honestly, Jamie Collins is more of the only really thing he's good at is rushing the passer and just being able to stop the run and stuff. He's not even good in coverage.
Yeah, he's not a good coverage linebacker, just like Gerard Davis. It's the same problem as him. He's a good pass rusher, run stopper, but he is not a good coverage linebacker at all. So again, I think it's possible we have the worst linebackers in the league. But that's, again, we have more stuff to talk about, more possible draft targets that we can talk about later in the season. All right, so now we'll move on to the NBA and the Pistons, where they have completed the preseason schedule. They finished at 2-2. They won their first game against the Wizards and lost their second game, even though it was very, very close. They will open up the regular season on the 23rd against the Timberwolves. We discussed that a little bit. It's going to be kind of a pretty tough game for them, but we'll see how it goes. As of the team through preseason, what do you think so far, Dalton?
I'm excited. As we saw through preseason, anybody can go off any given night and score a lot of points, and they can go off one night and score a lot of points and the next night do absolutely nothing. So I feel like we have a lot of people on this team that can do that, and I feel like this team might surprise some people. And I know Blake Griffin and Derrick Rose have helped a lot of the young guys. That's all I've heard is like them talking about how much Blake Griffin and D Rose has helped. And in the third preseason game, Blake Griffin wasn't doing too much. Like he wasn't really scoring. He wasn't doing that. But anytime there's a timeout or like any kind of stoppage of play, you saw Blake Griffin talking and like telling the players how to do stuff and like just helping the players. Because Blake Griffin's a veteran and that's what he's here to do. So that's what he was doing. And it's good to have that because Blake Griffin is an all-star. He's been an all-star. He's been one of the top players in the NBA, obviously not as recently due to injury and everything. But back with the Clippers, he was. And he was in those playoff runs. He was in so he was a good player, a great player. So just having him there to be able to teach the guys and like basically pass on his wisdom like all veterans do to the rookies, it's nice to have.
Exactly. Yeah, Blake Griffin has, and even with the Pistons, he's still been a really great player. I wouldn't say top tier all-star player, but he has still been one of the best players in the league. Honestly, it seems, if you watch the games, it seems like we were struggling from three really, really bad, but I don't know if the whole league is struggling with threes. As of right now, the Pistons are sitting at 36.7 3-point percentage on the league, and that is 11th in the entire league. Right now, it's the Utah Jazz and the Miami Heat that are shooting at the top 3-point percentage through the preseason.
Of course, Miami is, baby. They got the shooters.
Shut up. This isn't a Miami Heat podcast. Anyways, yeah, so we're actually looking okay. Killian Hayes does seem to be struggling a little bit, but I mean, what do you expect out of a 19-year-old kid who's just playing in his first NBA games against some grown men?
And like we said in podcasts previous to this one, he's going to develop and learn the NBA style game, and he's going to get there. It's his first 4 games in the NBA. Give him time.
I feel like we're just a broken record on repeat at this point. Coach Casey is great at developing players. Blake Griffin is already developing really good chemistry with Killian Hayes. Derrick Rose and Killian Hayes seem to have a really good relationship, and they play off of each other really well, coming in and swapping in and out. So again, it's going to take time, and that's why Killian Hayes isn't getting 30 minutes. I keep seeing a lot of people online on Twitter and Facebook complaining that he's not getting 30 minutes a game. Again, he will get there. I guarantee come season end that both him and Sekou, and possibly even Ski Mikhailuk, depending on how the season goes, could be getting more minutes than...
if Ski Mikhailuk's not the starting shooting guard, there's going to be some angry fans, including me.
Yeah, so like I said, I guarantee that they're going to be starting by the season's end, not just because of injuries, but because of their play on the court and how well they've improved throughout the season. Again, we're going to watch them develop throughout the season. We're going to watch them turn into amazing players right before our eyes. We didn't see it with Sekou. Like, we saw him, he didn't really get a lot of playing time last year, but you definitely saw it from the beginning of the year to the end of the year. He looked like almost 2 completely different players.
Even this year, you can see a difference from last year to this year.
Exactly. So that's what I'm saying. Like, just give you players a few years to develop. And I think this goes true for any sport, honestly. But I don't think you really know what you have in any player until 3 years in, probably the mid to end of their 3rd year professional career. If they're healthy, if they're injured, that kind of skews things. But if a player is healthy for their first 3 seasons of their career, you kind of have an idea of what type of player they're going to be. Yeah, it's given them time to develop. It's given them time to get used to their team and the league and how it works and how it operates and the speed of the league and everything. So by the time of their 3rd season, you can kind of tell a player, and so that's what I'm saying. We still have plenty of time with these guys.
Obviously, there are going to be some people that are like, there's certain players, like there's people that don't need that, like, they're just like good. Like, yeah, there are some talented players that come in and just automatically ball out.
You know that they're just going to be amazing from the start. Like, obviously, look at Luka Doncic, Kevin Durant, LeBron James, Zion Williamson. Like, players like that, are just going to come in and dominate.
Yeah, that's what I was going to say. Yes, there are players that come in and dominate right away. This NBA draft class, I don't think had any. I think all of them are projects that in a couple years can be that good, but none of them are going to come in and be a LeBron James, a Kevin Durant, a Luka, a Zion. Like, none of them are going to come in and do that.
The only so-called superstar that you could say coming in would be LaMelo Ball, and I think that is more due to his name.
He's even still a project. Yeah, that's what I was going to say. It's just a name that's associated with him.
Exactly. That's why he was so popular coming in. And as you mentioned, there was no other superstar, big athlete coming into this draft, so LaMelo was the biggest name coming in. And as we've seen, yeah, he looks okay with some of his court vision and his passes, but he does not look good as an overall NBA player defensively or offensively either. So we'll have to wait and see how he develops. And again, I don't think I've heard anything about LiAngelo Ball landing on a team.
The Pistons did waive the Musa guy that we traded Bruce Brown for, which was very, kind of weird because that literally means we traded Bruce Brown for a 2nd-round pick, which I don't understand. But, I mean, I guess it is what it is. We got good players in the draft. We did all that, so.
Exactly. Troy Weaver had a plan. He came in and cleaned house and did what he wanted to do, and we'll see how the season goes. We'll see if Derrick Rose and Blake Griffin are even Pistons come season's end. I do believe that they will be. I think they'll be here for a little while.
There are rumors going around that Derrick Rose will be traded at the trade deadline, but we'll see what happens.
yeah, there's still a lot of time. And again, I'm excited to see this team. We start, again, as I mentioned, we have the Timberwolves coming up on the 23rd this Wednesday. And then we have the Cavs on Saturday, day after Christmas.
What's your predictions for the week?
The Timberwolves is going to be a tough game. I don't know if we win that. I think that's going to be a loss for us. But then I think we make a rebound and we win against the Cavs and Andre Drummond. What do you think?
I think we're going to go 1-1 in that series. I think we're going to beat the Cavs. I think we're going to lose to the Timberwolves.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, it's the first game of the season. It's in Minnesota. It's the first game of the season. It's going to be, again, I think it's going to be a little bit of a learning block for our rookies because, again, the preseason is just kind of like the NFL. Like, yeah, you kind of get a little bit of adjustment to game speed, but regular season, there's a different type of speed, different type of mentality than preseason. So they're going to have to come in.
And also, teams don't do like all their plays, all their sets, like
exactly.
Everything.
They do very
like,
vanilla playbooks in preseason.
Like we ran a zone in the preseason and it worked for us. And Dwayne Casey did say that it probably will be ran in the regular season, but we don't know how much. Like Dwayne Casey could come in game 1 and that be our main defense.
Exactly. Yeah, we'll have to see. Yeah, season starts tomorrow.
Any teams you excited to watch for basketball this year other than the Pistons?
Not really. I mean, I think it'll be interesting to see what the Warriors do with all their new players and without Klay Thompson and without Kevin Durant and like a healthy team, healthy Steph Curry. See what they do if they're back to their full superstar form or if they're going to take a little while, especially with Kelly Oubre. Obviously, the Heat, I'm excited, even though I'm not a Heat fan like you, I'm excited to see what they do following their trip to the finals and if they can kind of repeat that run and keep that success going or if they kind of falter off a little bit this season.
I was going to say, I'm excited about the Heat, obviously, because I am a Heat fan, so I'm excited about them. Another team that excites me is the Phoenix Suns. Devin Booker, which he's one of my favorite players in the NBA, too.
Yep,
but Devin Booker and Chris Paul, I think, are going to be dirty. With DeAndre Ayton, I think that's going to be a great team. I think they're going to be one of those Western Conference playoff teams this year. I think Devin Booker is finally going to get the playoffs. Because, I mean, Chris Paul led the Thunder to the playoffs last season.
They had kind of a little bit of a run there in the bubble where they won quite a few games straight against a bunch of really good teams. So
the Suns went 8-0 in the bubble.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. So they did pretty good. We'll see if same thing as the Heat continue that success that they had in the bubble, and especially with the new leader on Paul. We'll see if they can continue that success and go on. All right, season starts, like I said, tomorrow. Hopefully we make the playoffs. I guess, okay, what are your predictions? Do you think we're going to make the playoffs this season? Got to call it right now.
No.
You don't think we're going to make the playoffs in the East?
No.
I think we're going to sneak in. I think we're going to sneak in a 7th, 8th seed. We might win a game.
That's the thing. I don't want to do that.
I know.
I either want to be a good team in the playoffs or I want to be a bad team and get a higher draft pick. Because this draft class has got some good talent that's going to be in the early lottery picks. That I want a lottery pick. I don't want a middle of the draft pick again.
All right. Well, we all know Troy Weaver's aggressive. Even if we do get a middle thing, he might try to trade for a first-round pick, an early lottery pick. We'll see what Troy Weaver does. We know he's an aggressive type of general manager. So, all right. I guess that'll do it. Thanks, everyone, for tuning in. We'll see you again next time.